Hello, everybody. This is Lawrence from Liberia.
Hi, Lawrence. I'm going to do a brief introduction and then let you guys get started. So welcome to all of our attendees joining from both the US and across Africa. As I said, my name's Emily Bedoin. I work at IREX on the Mandela Washington Fellowship. And we are thrilled to welcome you to this webinar with Accountability Lab, a longtime partner of the fellowship. Accountability Lab is building a new generation of active citizens and responsible leaders across Africa and around the world. The lab has done everything from setting up a film school, the first film school in Liberia, running citizen help desks in central Mali, and a campaign you may have heard of called Integrity Idol, to name and fame honest government officials in Nigeria, South Africa, Liberia, and Mali. As I said, the lab is a longtime partner of the fellowship. They've hosted 6 Mandela Washington Fellows, and they're just gearing up to host 3 more. Today, we're joined by 3 country directors from the lab: Ode Friday from Nigeria, Lawrence YALI from Liberia, and our very own Musa Kondo from Mali, who is a 2015 Mandela Washington Fellow. Today, you'll hear more about how to build accountability and integrity in your country and the ways in which the lab might be able to help. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to the Accountability Lab. And I'll add just one more point. If you have questions, you can type them in the group chat, and they're going to do about 30 minutes of presentation, followed by hopefully 30 minutes of question and answer. So please join me in welcoming the Accountability Lab.
Thank you so much, Emily. This is Lawrence from Liberia. For and on behalf of Accountability Lab, we are grateful for the long-term partnership, and it's great to be here. And hello to our English-speaking friends. Bonjour to all our Francophone friends out there. So Accountability Lab was started in 2012 by Black Blancos. And as Emily said, a new generation of active the word, as we are not only in Africa, in Nigeria, Liberia, Mali. Hello? Are you hearing me?
Yeah, Lawrence, we can hear you now.
Okay, great.
I didn't know if it was my internet, but
So what I was saying earlier is Accountability Lab, we were founded in 2002 because, and our head office is at the Open Gulf Hub. However, Accountability Lab seeks to establish a local ownership, and that gives all of the country directors the ability to make accountability part of our lives and grow in it as we make it our everyday lives. And accountability, lack of accountability in Africa, so we believe that it starts with you, and then you can give to people exactly what you have. So we've driven active change makers, as well as building responsible leadership in young people around the world. So I was saying before the network got bad is that our work along with young people across the world have driven. How do we use what is really available to young approach? It comes from family to community, then from communities to the nation at large. And our focus is really driving positive change for solution across the world. So we build lots of movement in the lab, and those movements are based on our pillars. So our pillars that we work on in Accountability Lab allows us from integrity to innovation to humility to learning and to collaboration. Because what we try to do as well is learn from our own mistakes. So learning for us is key, and integrity building for us, those values are very, very key, because we have to be the example for what we want to see and for the messages that we preach. And having said that, the collaborations that we also build as different innovations, because most of the time people think that you have to struggle over resources so that you make a point. But we believe that when you can build an ecosystem of change makers, then we are getting to where we want to see one word. Having in general and across the kind of work that we're doing in Liberia, and then from there, my colleagues. So in Liberia, we've been in Liberia almost 5 years, going on to 6. And what that means for us is that we've been working around creativity across. We've engaged
Lawrence?
Hi, guys.
Hello?
Maybe
Yeah.
we move on to Musa. Musa, if you're there, we could hear from you first, and then Lawrence after that.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Musa Kondo. I'm from Mali, and I'm the country lead of Accountability Lab here in Bamako. So this time I'm very happy to be here, and I'm feeling real at home as a 2015 Mandela Washington Fellow of YALI and the YALI program. Since after my US based portion of the program, I returned back here and have been selected by Accountability Lab Liberia to do my practicum, as some are doing right now. And Lawrence, the one who just spoken to you, hosted me for 8 months in Liberia, where I've been working in various projects on Accountability Lab in Liberia, Integrity Idol, Accountapreneurs programs, and various other programs in Monrovia and inside the country. And it's been a huge experience for me as a Malian citizen and a French-spoken country people. So I've seen a lot of similarities between the activities we've been doing in Liberia and the context in Mali. So I had this conversation with the country, the Accountability Lab founders, who is Mr. Blair Glencos, and we talk a lot about the possibility to open and open a new office in Mali. And then he trusted the process. And from 2016, we've been working on it, and we opened the office here, and we're locally registered as the first Francophone office of Accountability Lab. And since then, very youth focused programs. We launched the program, the Integrity Idol project here in 2016. And before we finished the program, we had been founded by the Canadian Embassy. That's to tell you a little bit how the project is designed to really solve problems we're facing every day. Because if the problems still remain in our countries, that means the proposed solutions are not meeting the realities or the contextual realities of our countries. So these things are designed by ourselves with the technical advice of different colleagues from different parts of the office. And yeah, we organized Integrity Idol in 2016, and we finished the second edition of Integrity Idol in 2017, which has been founded by the Dutch Embassy as well. And it's been really impactful because we mobilized about 557 volunteers from all around the country, even where we with a lot of security, but we're doing great things over there. And this year, 2018, started with a big hope and a big growing fast of the lab in Mali here, as we started new programs about the accountability incubator, where we send the applications and we receive fellows who want to become the first incubators of this program. This 2-year program designed for the training project and we already seed funding for them so they can fund the project as we have been doing in Liberia with the Film Institute, etc. And also we started a program named Citizen Help Desk. This program aims much more to get the feedback from people, to close the loop about the realities, what they're doing every day, and how we can find out impactful solution to meet the realities happening in the countries, the communities specifically. So we conducted the first survey through our Citizen Help Desk in Ségou regions, which is really important in Mali right now, as the problem of security is no more based from in the northern regions, but in the central regions. So now we are having a special focused accountability lab designed project to meet people's needs in central regions, so we can understand what's going on there, what is the reasons of all these things happening. So how can we find creative solutions with the community leaders and community and youth leaders as well together to find solution and solve the problems. So after the first survey conducted in last November 2017, we returned back again. After this report, we heard on the local radios with community leaders, we talk about the problems people facing every day. And now we turn back for the second leg of this survey in the same area. And after the first leg, we have been contacted by the UN organizations here in Mali to recruit us to do the same work in various places. That just to tell you the innovative approach we are using here in the lab to solve problems. So we are having a lot of partnership, and people want to work with us because we are more young focused programs. All we're doing, we are trying to do with young people, with creative ideas, with innovative ideas. And last year, 2017, I personally, as a 2015 YALI fellow, I hosted two YALI fellows of cohort 2016. In person, Sekou Timbo, I don't know, some of you may know them, or Agaisha too. They stay with us, and this year also I'm hosting other YALI fellows as for the practicum, for the African-based practicum experience. So that's to tell you, we're working much more work with YALI fellows, with all the creative young leaders, and also we're working to open, as Lawrence mentioned it, with the iCampus in Liberia. We are working, opening here very soon, the Open Gulf Hub what is a physical space of innovation and exchange programs with the private sectors, media practitioner, government officers, civil society leaders, whatever, bringing new ideas to in our communities. We want to implement this and get hands together and push for the same direction to see the change we want to see in our communities. So for now, this is what I want to say about our programs here in Mali, and expecting your questions from different angles for more precisions. Thanks for now. Hello?
Thanks, Musa. That was great.
Yeah, thanks.
Ode, are you still there? Maybe we could hear about what's happening in Nigeria.
Hello?
Hi, Ode.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, great. This is Ode from Nigeria, Accountability Lab Nigeria office. I'll be speaking on how Accountability Lab started in Nigeria, how Integrity Idol went last year, the amazing engagements we have, the next steps we have at the moment, and how we plan to implement the Rap to Rep program, which we are in discussions with at the moment. So Accountability Lab started in 2017. Accountability Lab Nigeria started in 2017 after we had discussions with Accountability Lab US office. Some of us would have experienced what we have seen in Nigeria about corruption and everything that's been happening with the Nigerian government. One of the things that breaks my heart is when you walk into most of the government offices is you can't actually get anything done except you pay some money, which is called facilitation payment or some form of bribery. At some point, I had to discuss with Blair. I got online and I discussed with Blair, oh, we need to do this in Nigeria. And we got talking for about some months. Then we agreed to start up the Nigerian office. One of the things I pushed towards is we know for Nigeria, the Nigerian public services, one of the challenges we have faced is the name and shame has not actually proven any results. Because we have these things going about, you have people shouting corruption, this person stole money, that person has displayed some corrupt acts in public service, but when they get to the rule of law, the courts, nothing, well, it ends up at the same point which it started from. So the same people, corrupt people, still fly around. So we thought about, oh, why not see how we can name and fame honest public officials? So that is where we took it up for the Nigerian Accountability Lab project. So one of the things we did, we had engagements and engagement with stakeholders, with youth organizations. We spoke with them on different platforms at Abuja at the federal level, and exchanged emails with a couple of youth organizations. Email, and we told them this is what we want to do, and it was a welcome idea. Integrity Idol 2017 started about September last year, where we had nominations for about 150 persons across different sectors in security, in power, in education, in health, finance, and in agriculture. These nominations were received online, both online and in hard copies. We had a couple of who shared this through our various social media handles, and we received a couple of nominations also, which were quite worthy of the nominations. Some of the things we looked at the qualities of these public servants which were nominated. And looking at that, some of the people who were nominated, we noticed that Nigeria, from the angle which we are coming from, integrity is not a word which has quite a certain definition. Everybody has a perspective about integrity. So you have people in the Nigerian public service who have uncles and aunties and siblings or nephews who understand integrity to be something which my uncle who works in public service is he understands integrity to be when good favors are being done to me. So that's the perspective some people came out with, nominating their uncles, like, oh, he gives me money at some points, he supports my school, and all that. So not minding how these monies are being made. When we reviewed the nomination process through the selection process, where we had 4 independent judges from the private sectors, we looked at these nominations through volunteers who had done background checks, visited the nominees in their offices and spoken to them over phone. So we understood the quality of the nominations which have been made, and we actually know the volunteers which we engaged help us streamline that down to about 30 nominations, which the independent judges looked through. So in looking through that, we had some quality measures which were put in place to look at these nominations. And one of the things we looked at, most of the people that nominated the public servants because they came to the office at 8 a.m., which is quite a good thing, but how does that contribute to national development? So one of the things we looked at is, everybody comes in at 8 a.m. and closes at about 4 p.m., which is close of business. But how do you contribute to national development on the job? How do you ensure that the right thing is being done? How do you ensure that somebody at the community level actually receive that which has been on the national budget? So those are the things we look at, how they have contributed to the nation. This process helps us pick up the top 5 idols, and we engaged also a consultant who took us out time to film them at their various offices, and we engaged in the voting system online and at the website and through SMS. We received a total approximately about 11,000 votes from Nigerians who participated on this platform. And at the end, we had a public ceremony in Abuja, which was recently attended by some of the notable public officials, people who have been in public office and who are actually pushing integrity in public service. Hello? 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 Hello?
No worries, Musa, Ode, carry on.
Okay, I thought somebody was saying. Yeah. So it was an amazing engagement, and it was very positive with so much energy from Nigerians to say, okay, yes, we are about, we have something that can actually give a push for integrity in public service. So at the moment, we have a couple of government organizations, ministries, and departments who are interested in us trying to carry out trainings for them, trying to inspire them with integrity in the staff. So we are looking at training a couple of organizations. ICPC recently called us, that's the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, has recently called us to join the coalition, which we are actually supporting at the moment. We're also supporting the Open Governance Partnership in Nigeria to run a program which we call the OGP Champions. That is also to see how we can build the integrity of social media champions. Also, some of the next steps we're looking at is also to support the public service reforms with our strategy. A couple of government organizations have actually called us to see how they can also partake in this beautiful fit, to see how they can also imbibe the culture of integrity in their staff. So we have been in discussion with a couple of them, and with the support with NGOs and CSOs in the transparency and accountability space, while they're promoting the good governance of the nation. So we are looking at that also. Currently, we're looking at the Rap to Rep program in the same light to see how we can also engage young women who are into music. We want to train them on music, how they can sing about good governance, and how we can also promote this music. We just concluded, we've been speaking with top artists also in this platform to see how they can also get engaged on this platform. So for now, that's I'll stop at that at the moment and allow my colleagues to speak from here. While we'll take questions later.
Thanks so much, Ode. Lawrence, are you back on the line?
Yes, I'm back on the line. Sorry for the breaking transmission.
That's okay. Do you want to give us another quick 3 or 4 minutes on what's happening in Liberia?
Great. So, it's great to be back. So we've been doing a lot of great things on 3 fronts in Liberia. building campaigns. Musa and Ode talk about Integrity Idol already. So what we've been doing with Integrity Idol, this year is our 4th year doing Integrity Idol. And interestingly, Liberia, the conversation now is talking more about better integrity in public spaces. And last year was interesting because we engaged the security sector, which out of that, the drug enforcement officer, one of them, ended up in the last 5, and also a police officer ended in the last 5. And these are areas that people talk about, a lot of corruption across the country. So like my 2 colleagues talk about Integrity Idol, we have basically 5 stages that we engaged. The first stage is the nominations, which we have scores of volunteers across the country. And we also try to get nominations online. And then we have panel of experts that we set up to do the vetting, and then we do the sorting and vetting, and then we come up with the best 5. We film them, and then we vote via SMS. And here in Liberia, we have 2 GSM companies, which is free to the public. And we use frontline SMS to not allow one person to vote more than once for a candidate. So Integrity Idol has really built our campaign. And one of the campaigns that we've on is called Rap to be Repped. We use music, so we tried our best to bring underground artists up to sing more of conscious music. And what that means is we introduce them to mainstream music, but they are singing more conscious music on NRM issues. NRM is basically natural resource management issues. And also what Rap to be Rap is good at as well. We have hundreds of young people coming up, and we also have training for them. And we have a very good campus. It's called the iCampus. That's our second focus, which is ecosystem building. So the iCampus, what we do here is to bring civil society and government together in one common place, but also for innovation as well. So how do we have a conversation around transparency and engaging young people? And since we've been in Liberia for almost 6 years, we've been training hundreds of youth organizations across the country. Our impact level is deepening by the day. The good thing about iCampus also is enabling us to have a media lab that we call the New Media Lab. So we do this recording for the artists in the New Media Lab. We can also use it for audio visual as well. And then we, as part of what we're doing, the campaign that we're doing as well, is to allow, we bring people that are storytellers to our incubator. So our incubation is bringing people with great accountability ideas and social entrepreneurs. So the people are the social entrepreneur, the ideas should be around accountability, and we call them accountapreneurs. And these accountapreneurs, some of them come with music ideas, some of them come with arts. So to do a lot of murals on walls, some of the murals are very interactive murals, almost like Twitter online and offline. So people can interact with the murals, and we are doing that in 3 counties across in Liberia. And also what we're trying to do as well is to do film. We use film for social change. We engage a lot of young people across the country. So we work to build integrity as well, working with government officials. So we have a lot of great partners in UNDP, in the US Embassy, in USAID, in the EU. We also do trainings as well with Retreat. That's the latest that we did. We trained the EU staff in Liberia, and out of that, we created one great song. The song was made by them and putting them on the intranet, and that was one of the exciting, fun time in that training. So we do a lot of training. We have a training that is called Accountability Birth Certificate as well. So any of you young people who also want to kind of think about establishing accountability lab in various countries. We'll be happy to share some of those models with you as well. So our Liberia office, we've been doing lots and lots of things. We very excited to have questions from every angle of them. So there are a lot of interest from international partners to partner with us. There are a lot of interest from local partners as well as national partners. But our basic hope is that Liberia will tend to have integrity that reflects from individuals to families, and from family. I don't know what is in your country, but let me just share something before I can close up. So in Liberia, people, there are a lot of orientations that are very much not good. People lie a lot to an extent that parents will sleep on holidays and will tell their kids, anybody come to me, tell them I am not here. Anybody come to me, tell them I am not here. And that is a lie. And the kids are funny, right? They go like, my mother say or my father say, I should tell you he or she is not in. So these kind of little things that people overlook, but tend to eat up our society. How do we build honesty as part of our own upbringing? How do we reorientate ourselves? How do we build better citizens that know more about responsibility as well as their rights? Those are things that we work on from individuals to, so we do something called field fairs as well as a learning curve for ourselves and for bringing communities together. So we do a lot of field fairs. We've done 2 field fairs. We've done 1 learning conference here at iCampus. So yeah, a lot of things going on. We can share most of them, but we're certainly grateful for the opportunity to share with you. And we are going to be hosting even much more YALI Fellows, 3 of them actually coming up. So, and we are excited working with young people, and we are opening up for questions if there are any. Thank you.
Brilliant, thanks, Lawrence. And so we also have Faith, who's running our Integrity Idol campaign in South Africa on the line. We thought, given that we have her, maybe she could quickly update you on how that's going, and then we can open up to questions. Faith, are you there?
Hi, I'm here. Sorry, I just needed to figure out how to unmute myself. Hi, everyone.
Great.
Great. I've just been very inspired by what colleagues have said about the work that they are doing with young people on the continent. I think it's absolutely fantastic. South Africa is the latest country to join the Integrity Idol movement, and it couldn't have come at a better time. Just politically, I think South Africans have been very desperate for a movement and maybe just a public affirmation towards integrity, accountability, and transparency within the public service. And so what this campaign has allowed us to do, right, is very similar to what has been shared earlier, is to recognize those individuals who are at the forefront of going against the norm, or what we see as the norm in television or in the newspapers. And the campaign really has been able to create an alternative platform to celebrate colleagues that are doing the right thing when essentially no one is watching. So we have just closed nominations about 3 weeks ago, and our team worked through the nominations to get to a top 20. And in the next week, we should profile our top 5 finalists. And how we're going to do that is we've established a young filmmaking lab, and the aim of this lab is twofold. First, it's to empower young up-and-coming filmmakers with skills to really tell stories about social justice and to tell stories about building integrity in local communities. And the second part of the lab is to mobilize young people really in the larger continental and maybe global call to being aligned to values that matter. So the campaign couldn't have, like I said in the beginning, the campaign could not have come at a better time. Today actually is Human Rights Day in South Africa. And the young filmmakers are working really hard in making sure that we capture the stories of these 5 finalists. The Untitled South Africa initiative or campaign or competition really are very representative of the public sector. So we have 2 firefighters, a teacher, a doctor, a nurse, and a police officer who have built really a legacy of integrity and are inspiring others below them and are modeling new ways to be public servants. I think one of the most interesting things that one of the finalists said was, and he's a police officer, and he said he's quite aware of his power in this context. He has the power to both initiate and to take a bribe. And so integrity for him is choosing not to all of the time, especially in difficult economic circumstances, and being consistent in those values. It's not just not taking a bribe one time, but it's not taking a bribe all of the time. And so these individuals are really going above and beyond what is expected of them in the public service, and are essentially inspiring people like me, young people, to consider going into the public service, because I see different behavior being modeled, and I see the public service as a way to serve not just my country but my continent and the world, really, to help meet some of the most pressing social and economic challenges. So that's all, I think, from our side. And it's really been inspiring to see what kind of networks and opportunities the campaign has been able to create in a very short amount of time. And the lab really has been central in supporting this kind of work and initiating these conversations on the ground.
Thank you so much, Faith. Brilliant. So that's what we're up to, everyone. Lawrence, can I hand back to you just to explain how people can get engaged with the lab?
Awesome, Blair.
There should be
Thank
one
you
more
so
slide.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I've been trying to answer some of the questions that have been coming up, and trying to link. I think one question also before I do that came from one of our friends, and asked about if Accountability Lab is in a francophone country, and I just share Musa's contact. So you can get Musa at accountabilitylab.org. But you can also email us info@accountabilitylab.org. You can also volunteer with us in the various countries that we are in. We are in Liberia. We are on iCampus up Kerry Street in Liberia. We're in Bamako in Mali. You can contact Musa at accountabilitylab.org. You can also contact him for volunteering on Integrity Idol. You can also get to Ode in Nigeria. So you can get Ode at accountabilitylab.org. You can also get Faye in South Africa. You can volunteer in whatever ways you want to do. You can also apply.
Has his hand up?
Yes. Thank you very much for the word. I think it might be better for me to speak rather than writing. I'm from Congo.
Congo brother.
Sorry, I will take away my speaker. And in our country, the atmosphere is a bit complicated. The relationship shows as easy. We have, for nothing you can be put to jail. So I'd like to know, for the country where Accountability Lab is already established, did you have kind of issues with the officials? Did some Accountability Lab members being put to jail or because of misunderstanding of the concept or whatever? And if so, please, I'd like to hear more and get some advice, because I'm really much interested about the concept. Thank you.
Great. Did you guys hear that, Lawrence and Ode and Musa?
I think he was very low. If you heard that, you can echo that and then we can answer it.
I think he was asking about whether you've had trouble with government officials who might not like what we're doing with the Accountability Lab, and how you deal with that when you might be getting pushback from people in power.
Yeah, great. If I can take the lead on that. So in Liberia, we've been not really having problems openly, but there's one thing that they keep doing is what they do is that it creates some bottlenecks for you when you ask for things. So one way, maybe because our approach is being more positive, instead of going namey and shimmy, we go namey and famey. So it tends to make it much welcoming. But there also been this little, okay, whole information bag. They don't want to give information, not only from the government as well, but also from other civil society organizations as well. Not to they think, okay, our approach is different and we are coming in a space. In fact, we are new. So there are a lot of challenges, but one way I think we've dealt with it is to stay positive, keep on to our objectives, and engage in a positive way. For example, if we get on the media, to engage in more media conversation, friendly conversation. So we try to bring it in ways that help people see the positive side of things rather than seeing the negative side. I think those are ways that we've dealt with it very much, because one of the projects that we do is to build citizen journalism, build young citizen journalists, and then the contents of what we produce are critical, but we bring it in a positive light. So these kind of approaches have helped us learn from our own lessons and also engage positively. I think the positive approach that have helped us mitigate those bottlenecks.
Thanks.
Yeah, hello. Let me just add to that. So for the Nigerian program, one of the challenges we've actually with Integrity Idol project is during the collection nominations, some organizations, actually government organizations, civil servants actually refuse to participate because they felt their bosses, they needed permission from their bosses. One of the things the OGP, Open Government Partnership in Nigeria, have promised us in Nigeria is that wherever we have such challenges, we should let them know. So they are going to take up the challenge to write to the Director General or the Chief Executive Officer of such organizations to make them understand the connect we have with them and why we need this such program, so we can also promote good governance in their establishment. So I think this is one of the things one of the pushbacks we've had is from participation from government officials, taking permission from their bosses and all that. So one of our idols, to make mention, one of our idols from 2017, she had issues with the chief executive of our organization. And we had to have meetings with him and spoke to a couple of people before she could participate. So sometimes these things come up, well, with Open Government Partnership and with deliberations and collaborations, we've been able to overcome such. Thank you.
Thanks, Ode.
Yeah.
Great. Just looking at what's coming in on the chat. Question from M. Johnson. Corruption is a two-way street. In addition to faming public servants who refuse to accept bribes, how do we praise entrepreneurs and business leaders who build successful companies while refusing to take shortcuts by offering bribes and encouraging corruption? So how can we encourage entrepreneurs and business people as well as just government officials? Do you guys have thoughts on that?
Yes, sure, Blair. I was reading the question. I felt this is something that has come up out of one of our Integrity Idols conversation before the main event. And people been encouraging us to go into the business arena as well, because corruption in the country is not just in the public space. So it's something that we're looking into. But the thing with these companies, if the public service is not taking a bribe, you'll see that it will be very difficult for the private service to just offer the bribe. So like you said, and Johnson, is a two-way street. So if one, especially the public service, is having integrity and saying no to bribe, then you can see that the private service, the private sector will find it difficult to offer the bribe. And even if that will happen, it will happen on a very, very minimal level and can easily be exposed. So we're also thinking, we haven't yet concluded on anything on how to go into the private space as well. But it's an interesting question, and show require us to also study it to take on that path.
Thanks, Lawrence. And just to add to that, this is Blair from Accountability Lab. We're working with Deloitte in South Africa to look through how our incubator could be used to support private sector accountability in South Africa going forward. So moving a little bit away from government accountability and towards business, which is potentially really, really exciting as well. And Musa, there was also a question for you as a Mandela Fellow and a member of the lab. What more could the fellowship do to support the Accountability Lab and spread the message across the continent? Do you have ideas for that? Musa, are you still there?
Yes, I was on mute. sorry.
No worries.
Okay, I say thanks so much for these questions, and I think this platform is one of the best way to spread the word, because first of all, people, when they heard Accountability Lab, accountability, sometimes they don't get, and specifically in Francophone Africa, people don't know exactly what's happening in the organizations and what we do, how we try to do, who we are, where we're from. So before the Accountability Lab, as Lawrence said, is been founded in 2012. But before that, we have incredible profiles in the lab today. They're using their own personal experience to make things happen and make it grow. That's why we're growing faster and quicker. To help the Mandela Washington Fellow and YALI to intentionally support Accountability Lab is like the way we are receiving or hosting fellows from various countries. For example, suppose I was in Mali, I've been in Liberia. So I learned Liberia and I learned the lab. And I've been able to open the lab office to bring back the lab office in Mali. So how many people are getting the word about the lab during Mali experiences? So from now, we're spreading the word to various places in the continent. And now we have a lot of fellows from various countries getting involved and want to know what we do, how we do it, and how they can implement it in the countries, and about local context. So I think the best way is still bring the partnership to the higher level, so we can host the most fellows from the US portion based for Practicum, Africa Practicums. So this will help a lot spread the message about the lab in the continent.
Excellent, thank you. And the other Musa, Kalangahi, makes a good point about culture being an important part of all of this, and the idea that we need to start from the family and teach young people to honor integrity and trust each other, which I think we agree with. That's absolutely what needs to happen. This begins with all of us. Any other questions coming through from people on the line? I have one question for everyone. Maybe Lawrence, Ode, and Musa, you could each tackle it. But what are your plans for the next few years for Accountability Lab in your country? What would you like to do the most?
I just want to jump on this. For me, it's really important to plan for the 5 coming years, specifically from now, as we have been growing really fast. For example, since we started in 2016, we have been engaged with through a lot of amazing projects and amazing approaches, and a lot of partners like the Dutch embassies, the Canadian embassy, the US embassy, the UN organization here are having a lot of trust on us about how we're doing, what we're doing, and the creative ways, the things Accountability Lab is bringing here. So we are obliged to control our growth. So what we try to do is get a lot of creative and amazing profile engaged with the lab here to make our project very sustainable and very strong in all the different phases. And then is about giving the best we can every day. Every morning when we come, we arrive to the office to work hard on the different projects to make the implementation the rightest way we can, and go places where maybe others cannot go, and find the creative words to meet the problems people, maybe other organizations are not doing. And this way we will obviously raise money to support and fund our projects. So the coming 5 years is to first make our procedures, our system stronger, and go harder by recruiting and engaging with a lot of creative young people in the field all around the country.
Great, Musa.
Okay, one of the things I'll take up from Musa, after Musa has said, is one of the things we are doing in Nigeria is we're trying to see how we can reach down to the grassroots to make young people understand the need for integrity in public service. People see from the views of corrupt officials, and most of the times you have to see young people join the public service for the wrong reasons. You want to see, what we see over here is a bit of more of nepotism, where you have people in government bringing in their relatives into government for security, for pensions, for a lifetime job security. And one of the things we are trying to change here, we want to impact the young people, keep them informed on the need for integrity, for the need for good governance, and to see how they can also join to cause a change, the change we want to see in public service. So we're trying to inspire them, and we're creating collaborations with other youth organizations, youth NGOs, and youth CSOs around Nigeria. We've been having discussions to see how we can also facilitate this. I think that we're doing at the moment. That plan we were taking up for the next few years. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, guys. I think what we in Liberia want to focus on now is how do we take these messages down to kids in kindergarten, so that we are building the next active citizens and responsible leaders, so that this generation that we are in now, and those that are ahead of us, with their corrupt practices, will not be able to infest those kids down there. And next thing, we also, to merge that, we'll be engaging a lot of policy advocacy from the legislature, which we started engaging the new government that we have in Liberia already, on natural resource advocacy, as well as we're trying to dive into advocacy that will stop drugs and things from affecting kids. Then we also want to build a sustainable home for Accountability Lab, which will be our own home. And how do we get into a place where we stop renting, but we start giving home that we can use it for conference spaces, for international partner, that young people can come and truly learn accountability. And that is something that is on our plate, and deepening our learning space for ourselves. So those are 4 key things that we're trying to focus on. those are our advocacy and our plans for the next 5 years. Thank you.
Thanks, Lawrence. And Faith, any thoughts on what we could be doing in South Africa over the next few years?
Hi, Blair. Faith had to leave. They're actually busy meeting with the filmmakers today. So unfortunately, she had to jump off the call. But I suppose I could share, but otherwise, yeah, I think it's literally just doing very similar things to what are happening in the other countries. And then also looking at, I think, deepening business and government relations and seeing how we could get government to really get behind the work that civil society wants to do, and make sure that we are sort of we're working with government to see the change we want to see, as opposed to apart from them.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jean. Well, I think we're running out of time, but this has been a really great conversation. Thank you to the YALI team, Emily and Micah for helping us with this and for setting it up. Thanks to Lawrence and Musa and Ode and Faith for talking about what we're up to. If anyone on the line would like to be in touch further, you can see on the screen here various ways to be in touch with us. Follow us on social media. Please email us if you want to get involved or set up an accountability lab in your country. We'd love to talk to you about that. Emily, should I hand it back to you to round things out?
Yeah, thank you, Blair, and thank you to everyone for this amazing presentation. I think this was a fantastic introduction to the work that Accountability Lab is doing, and I think our participants are excited to get in touch with you and incorporate your work into the great work they're doing across the continent. So like Blair said, if you want to contact the Accountability Lab, you can use the information on the screen, or you can email us at mwfalumni@irx.org with any outstanding questions, and we would be happy to connect you. So thank you again to everyone for coming, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good day.